Is that working? I think that's working.
Before you just...
Okay. Gonna watch some videos. We're gonna level. We're gonna have some fun.
Switch the video off because you're like, oh, I don't want to hear about pet battles. 3,000 gold. With the pre-patch only being a matter of weeks away now, it's pretty important for you to know what things you should be doing during the pre-patch and what things get added in the pre-patch. Now, I've spoke about the things that are going to come in the pre-patch many times, so I will speed through those, but this video is the first of 4, and throughout this week I'm going to be covering some options of things to do in the pre-patch, which is this video, a second video which will be things to do from 85 to 90, or things that you should check off and make sure that you at least get started, the third video being things that you should do at level 90, so basically when you hit 90, right, where do I start? And then finally the fourth video in the series is going to be a daily/weekly checklist, so things that you want to try and get done each day or week on your main character. But first I'd want to grab my coffee. Now we're good. So firstly, when it comes to what we're going to get in the pre-patch, of course there's going to be the big system updates like the talent system overhaul, which is going to affect some classes more than others. We're going to get really good quality of life changes like AoE looting, for example, and of course we're going to get the new race being the Pandaran, and along with that new race comes the Monk. Now it's important to note that Pandarans can't be boosted, so you will have to level those. Monks, however, will be able to be boosted as long as they're not a Pandaran. So if you've got a boost laying around from buying the upgrade edition for Mr. Pandaria, for example, probably worth keeping hold of to the pre-patch, especially if you're interested in Monk. There is some small profession changes that you should bear in mind as well.
We
so
might
things
be
like
able
where you
to
need
boost
to go an
Panda.
alchemy mastery, so you want to go transmute, potion, or elixir, which I'd heavily recommend going transmute. When it rolls over into the pre-patch, things like those and the ink trader for inscription will actually move on to the new materials. So they'll be drastically more expensive and not completable until we go into live. Now, don't get me wrong, they could actually keep the old materials during the pre-patch, and then when it goes live, they actually change them, but I can't see them putting that effort in. But going back to the talents for a second, the reason I said it affects some classes more than others is because a lot of classes are balanced around their level 90 talents, where other classes aren't balanced around them at all. Using Death Knight as an example, your level 90 talent is purely crowd control, so you're going to have most of your toolkit outside of any new abilities you learn from level 85 to 90. Whereas something like a mage, where your level 90 talent is actually what all of your other abilities are going to be tuned around by the fact that you're going to have that extra spell damage, they might not be having the greatest time during the pre-patch. Now, I've been playing around on multiple level 85s just to get an idea of how much damage each of them are going to be doing, and I've got to be honest, the change weren't as drastic as I thought it was going to be. Of course, in the vast majority of circumstances, it's gone up, but none of them, including the mage, actually felt completely crippled, so that's good news at least. But depending on what class you're going to play, it's worth having a little look at what level 90 talent you're not going to have access to during the pre-patch, because that'll give you a good idea on not only how your class is going to play, but also how it's going to fare for those couple of weeks if you're still doing Dragon Soul. Now, I'm sure most of you already know what the talent system is, but it's where it changes from how it is currently in Cataclysm to the tiered talent system, where at level 15 you get to choose a talent, 30, 45, and then every 15 levels all the way up to level 90. Now, the good thing about these talents, in my opinion at least, is where at the moment in Cataclysm, and probably in Wrath as well, you had a specific set of talents, the cookie cutter build, let's call it, and you would just raid with those talents, do heroics with those talents. Like, the only time you would change your talents is probably the PvP. Well, I can tell you with absolute confidence that you'll be changing your talents during a raid on a boss-by-boss basis in some circumstances. So it does...
I actually kind of like that style, you know. I like having the choice for every situation, and being able to like kind of min-max each situation is kind of cool, you know, although I feel like it's not that crazy, honestly. Like I think retail has a much more refined version of where you have to kind of like tailor your spec, and your choices really matter. Like, there usually is like one talent per situation that's like, oh, you should play this or you should play this. But like the situations where it actually has like a lot of impact is kind of low. Like, it's not, I feel like it's not that many times where it's like, wow, that is, you should have definitely played this spec or whatever. Or this talent change should have happened. Like, it doesn't really happen that often, I feel like.
does actually make you think a little bit more, which I personally like. You'll have some
I like
talents
it
that are
too.
stronger on single target, some that are stronger on AoE. You'll have some talents that are really good for magical defense, and others that are aimed more towards physical defense. You'll have movement speed talents, which some will be better than others in certain circumstances. So
Yeah.
it is extremely flexible. Even though when you look at the talent system as a whole, you think it looks a bit dumbed down, it's actually not. It's a lot more interesting, and I think once you've tried it out in raids and basically just in everyday playing, even if you don't like the sight of it at the moment, you will learn to love it. Now, of course, there's going to be pet battles as well, and there's some things that are added around that I do want to touch on. But that's really just a bit of an overview of what's added in the
threat
pre-patch.
plates anymore.
Now let's get into what's actually important, because there is one thing that's added that you might be screaming at the monitor at the moment that I've not mentioned, and that's scenarios. Now, up until this point, we've always had quite a big event when it comes to pre-patch, so like the invasions, for example. Well, with Mr. Pandaria, because so much changes systematically, they clearly just thought a scenario would be the best way to go. So that's all we get, really. Outside of the main systematic changes, we get a scenario. And that scenario, when we get into Mr. Pandaria, becomes a level 90 scenario, whereas to begin with, it's going to be for level 85 during the pre-patch. Now, I'm not going to break down exactly what you do in the scenario, because it is different between Horde and Alliance, and honestly, you just go in and it's like doing a quest chain. It's really not difficult, but it'll be you with 2 other people. But I do want to touch on why you should do it. Obviously, firstly, you're going to want to do it at least once during the pre-patch, so you get the feat of strength achievement that you've completed it. But the first time you complete it as well, if you're Horde, you're going to get a toy that goes in your collections, and then as Alliance, you're going to get a tabard. So if you've got both Horde and Alliance, I would recommend doing it on both factions during the pre-patch anyway, so that's something that you can do. That's the first thing really to tick off, is getting the scenario done. Now, there's more to it than just getting that toy or tabard. I think tabard's pretty pointless, but
What the fuck is going on? It's so frustrating. Freaking internet problems, dude. Do you want to turn off threat plates? Make sure plater's on.
all clear, but this is a good way to possibly fill in those slots that you get unlucky with from the raid and from Twilight Dungeons, etc. Now, there is one more, but technically 2 more toys you can get from doing the scenario as well, which is just got a chance from coming from the bag. So you've got to get lucky to get them, but you can get like some fireworks. Is the Horde version of the fireworks and an Alliance version of the fireworks. Again, that's just from opening the spoils, like the little chest that you get at the end of the scenario. But if you're trying to get absolutely everything you can during the pre-patch, obviously trying to get that will be important as well. The next obvious thing to get done during the pre-patch is start preparing for Mr. Pandaria to launch. Now, the best way to do this is stack up on quests. Like, you might as well go in with a full quest log, and one of the best places to actually just fill your quest log up is Tol Barad, because there's tons of dailies. You can literally get all of the dailies done and the quest completed, which gives a crap ton of XP for winning Tol Barad as well. So quite honestly, if that's all you've done, you just prepared by doing all of the dailies in Tol Barad and one Tol Barad as well, and then just kept that in your quest log ready for launch. That would still be a decent enough amount of XP, and on the basis you're going to teleport straight back to Orgrimmar and then get cracking anyway. It's not even much of a time sink to go around handing everything in, because all of it just hands in right at the portal. But of course, if you want to take it further, then you're going to have to dig into exactly what quests are going to be the highest amount of XP. That would be a pretty good idea, without having to travel around too much. If you've seen any of my videos before, you know I'm going to be using Rested XP. So if you want to pick your Rested XP guide up, there's a link in the description below. It's an affiliate link, so any guides bought go towards supporting the channel, but that does come with a quest stacking guide ready for launch. So quite honestly, even without me seeing it yet, it's the same quest guide that I've used literally since TBC. So I'll just follow this around on 3 monks during the pre-patch, so all of them are going to get the maximum amount of XP ready for launch. But again, if you don't want to buy a Rested XP guide, that's absolutely fine. Just go onto Wowhead, look through the quests and just sort them by most XP to least XP, and if you can complete any of them because you haven't done them already, because ultimately every quest you hand in is just going to shave off more time when it comes to actually getting into Mr. Pandaria. Now, just a couple that probably should just go without saying, but making as much gold now and in the pre-patch as you can is only going to be a benefit in Mr. Pandaria, especially early on, because the Darkmoon Fair trinkets that every man and their dog's going to want, and some of you probably want it on multiple characters, are going to be expensive, and if you've not got a scribe army set up ready, start pumping cards out to basically be self-sufficient on Dark Moon decks, then you're probably going to be spending a pretty penny on picking some of these cards up. Pets are selling so well at the moment. I'm seeing some of the well-dropped pets go for 10-15k each. So if you want a decent way of making gold, just picking a pet that's a reasonable amount on the auction house and then going out and farming it can actually be really good, especially if you're lucky. But outside of that, mining, herbing, GDKPs, profession kits, like whatever you decide to do, but being able to get some gold together is going to be really beneficial, obviously. And then another obvious one is to make sure you can.
So maybe that would be a good idea. I could like prep what pets are going to be good and figure out like what pets I want to go after. Dude, I am just spamming my Discord. I feel so bad because I keep freaking disconnecting. I could like prep, or I could basically like I could figure out what pets are gonna be kind of meta, and then try to farm them. Would probably be a pretty good idea, maybe, to make some gold. I don't know. I don't really have a lot of gold, honestly. I really could use a lot more gold.
All of your currencies. So go into MoP launch with the honor cap. Go in with the justice point cap. Don't worry about conquest and valor, because those will convert down or end up converting to gold. But you can go from the pre-patch into actual MoP with the honor and justice point cap. And now you know there's some risky prep you can do as well, from using obsidian fragments to be able to buy the tokens that actually give you justice points as well. Me and the boys in the guild have been stocking up on those. I've spoke about it many times. There is a chance that it could be fixed, or maybe even just nerfed down to like half the amount of justice points as they're worth at the moment, but whatever. Ultimately, if you want to put some time into Twilight Dungeons and get some of these just in case they don't get fixed, that's on you. I'm personally doing it myself,
I feel
but
like that's not really like a big
well, it may change. And I've saved the best till last, and it's the best for me personally because you all know I love pet battles. So now, before you just switch the video off because you're like, oh, I don't want to hear about pet battles, 3,000 gold. That's all I want to say. I just want to lead this with 3,000 gold. Even if you hate pet battles, it's worth getting through the pet battle quest chain because the reward at the end is 3,000 gold. And I don't mean that's what you get along the way. You're going to get more gold than that when you're beating the trainers, and you know that all adds up. But literally when you defeat Aki, the Chosen, which is, I was about to say it's the final pet battle trainer, but it's technically not because there are more after that. But that's what's considered the end of sort of your journey as a pet trainer. You get 3,000 gold in the mailbox. So even if you're not interested in pet battling because you don't think it's going to be fun or whatever, it's still worth preparing a few pets during the pre-patch and getting them to level 25, and then getting to the point where you're ready to battle the MoP pet trainers, because during the pre-patch, why not? You might as well get it done. Then when you go into MoP, you've only got to do like 5 pet battles when you're out there, and you're going to get 3,000 gold. I'll put a couple of links to pet battles.
I feel like that's not really that much gold.
Description below, so I'm not going to go into mega detail about what pets you should
I probably
get,
will do it because I want to do
what
it.
ones are strong. I just want to say that it's worth having a few pets ready, and if you want the overpowered 3, I can lead nicely onto something else that gets added because of pet battles during the pre-patch, and that's raiding with leashes. So there's an achievement called raiding with leashes to collect pets from raids.
I'm going to do this for
You've
sure.
got places like AQ, Molten Core, Blackwing Lair, Karazhan. They all drop pets, and some of these pets are kind of just for collection purposes, and some of them are really useful. And going into AQ and farming the Anubis F Idol, preferably on multiple characters to get more than just one of them, will serve you really well. It's a ridiculously overpowered pet for many reasons, which I will go into, I think I've already gone into in a video, but I will go into in a separate video soon. But at least grabbing that one and then getting a Dark Moon Tonk and Dark Moon Zeppelin. Again, I spoke about those two lots. If you went into Mr. Pandaria with all 3 of those pets at level 25, you'll be able to get to your 3,000 gold easy peasy in no time. The one thing I will mention, if you can't be bothered to farm the idol, but you've done the old TBC achievement to get the magical
Maybe I should try to farm
box,
some pets.
So you got the magical Crawdad pet, you could use that instead.
Instead
That's not quite as strong
eat our
as the
rested
Anubis
XP
F
up.
Idol, but it's got one ability that's quite important, which basically crosses over between the 2 of them.
We'll
So
get
again, when
rid
it
of our
comes to
rested
preparation
XP?
for the pre-patch, I would say getting as many pets to 25 as possible should be the key. That's what I'm going to be doing, but I'm also going to be out farming all of those raids to get all of those pets. I'm going to be farming the Unborn Valkyr, which is an absolute headache to try and get because there's only one up in one of the zones of Northrend at a time. It's going to be horrible, but I'm going to put myself through it because I want it for a specific pet comp. But doing it just to get the 3k at the end. And honestly, once you've got one level 25 pet, well, not even 25, once you've got one 20 pet, you can boost the others so fast. And again, I'm going to talk about that in a video soon, how you can just basically power level as many pets as you want following a very, very easy route. And quite honestly, outside of that, I don't think there's a lot else you can prepare during the pre-patch. Obviously getting as much gear as you can, so if you're re-rolling Monk, getting stacked as best as possible. Basically, don't settle with any particular eye level. You know, if I was to say to you, oh yeah, get to 390 eye level, you'll be fine. No, don't. Get to the highest eye level possible. That will be even better, obviously. And make sure that you've got all your gear fully enchanted. Make sure you've got some enchants on scrolls as well. So if you're like looking on the auction house and you know, oh, I'll pick up a few leg enchants.
Dude, Scotty J's
I'll
a
pick
fucking
up a few
tryhard,
agility
huh?
on bracer enchants. You know, just keep
That is so unnecessary, I feel like. But if you want to go as fast as possible, I guess it makes sense.
those things in your bag. So you know that those weaker slots that you've got, let's say you've got a few 384 pieces from the scenario, you know I'm probably going to replace those pretty quickly in MoP. So get enchants for those specific slots and have them in your bag. Now, you might be like, well, what's the point? You know, it's not going to make that much of a difference.
It won't.
It's not going to make that much of a difference, but it's still going to help you kill quicker in MoP. Some of the mobs do take a while to kill, especially if your gear's pretty pants, so why not just be as prepared as possible? The same goes with consumables. Like, if you're not going into MoP with at least a full stack of, like, your primary stat flask, what are you doing? Be sure to like and subscribe, and please do make sure you hit subscribe. Nearly on 100k now. Blizzard are sending me some codes. This has got nothing to do with you subscribing, by the way. You don't have to be subscribed. But Blizzard are sending me some codes for the digital deluxe editions, which I'll be able to give out before MoP. So at least if you're subscribed, you won't miss when I do that video. Because I've also said on top of that, I'm going to personally give away a couple of editions as well out of my own pocket when we hit 100k, just to celebrate. So quicker we get there, quicker we can start dishing this stuff out. But the Blizzard ones, I just want to reiterate, that's got nothing to do with you pressing subscribe. That's not gated behind any you have to like, you have to comment. You don't have to do any of that. They'll just be going out to the community from Blizzard, not from me. So again, I'm off. Check out Rested XP in the pinned comment in the description and the pet battle videos. And I'll see you on the next one.
Okay. That wasn't too bad. What about another one? So, okay, we got a couple of things. Prepare before pre-patch. How about this one?
Right now, there's many things you can prepare before the Mist of Pandaria pre-patch. So when the pre-patch goes live, you will therefore also have more time to level your upcoming Monk, Panther, or do many of the other things that will be available in the pre-patch. What I've done myself is to max out all my different professions. Right now, many of these materials are fairly cheap, but when more people return, either in the pre-patch or anytime soon, then the price for these materials might also increase. Especially because now there's also a level 85 character boost you can purchase. And these boosted characters would like to speed level professions to be as ready as possible for Mist of Pandaria, and this could be increasing the price for the materials. As of right now, you could spend your valor points. If not, well then in the pre-patch all of these will be converted into justice points, but there will be a cap of 4,000, all the remaining will be converted into gold. So you could spend the valor points and purchase, for example, the bind and equip items and sell those on the auction house to make a bit of gold. But it's gonna be important to keep 4,000 justice points, either for Mist of Pandaria, where you can purchase level 90 blue items, but you could also keep these for the pre-patch. In the pre-patch, you could then, for example,
Okay, so getting justice points, that's pretty universal across both of these videos, saying they pretty much want you to get justice points.
Upgrade your heirloom items that will now be working up to level 85, and these upgrades will cost you justice points. Also remember that monks will be using leather heirloom items, so it could be wise to purchase these before you stack 4,000 justice points. Just remember to always keep 4,000 for Mist of Pandaria, so you can gear up a bit quicker when you reach max level. Make sure to also get your heirloom helm and cloak. These will work all the way up to 85 and in total increase your experience gained by an additional 15%. To get these items you'll simply need to join a guild and make sure you farm reputation. You can easily farm reputation by, for example, questing in the open world.
Oh my god.
I've also started buying different wands. You might be asking why. Well, it's pretty simple. Wands will now become a main hand instead of a secondary weapon. So you will, for example, be using a wand together with an offhand. If not, well then you will most likely be using a staff instead. And therefore these wands might also increase in price, especially if it's a pretty nice transmog. So as of right now, I'm buying a couple of these
That's
as an investment.
true. There could be some really good ones that could go up a lot in transmog, honestly.
But also for some of my upcoming casters. Beside investing, then I'm also farming gold, mainly by farming transmog items, but also by farming materials that I will most likely sell in the pre-patch when people are going to speed level their professions. I especially like to farm old classic dungeons, those between level 30 to 60, as a lot of those transmog items are usually pretty expensive. If you're not having any luck in the dungeons, then try the raid Anchor Ride 20 man, just the one that I'm doing right here. The reason for farming gold is mainly because you will be able to enjoy the pet battle system in the pre-patch. So pets could be a good investment as of right now, or you could prepare pets if you're going to level up your own Pokemons. As you level up these, you can resell them onto your auction house and that way make a decent amount of gold. So if you pre-purchase a lot